So there are 5 environments that we want to go through testing, like upgrading. And I think it actually only tests upgrading from the previous Informer version. So from 5.3 to 5.4, which is really fast and really easy. But then it's also testing like a fresh install of 5.4. And that's testing installing it on Linux, Windows Server 2016, 2019, 2012 R2, and then Windows 10 Pro. And so if I go back to Johnston, so I have all of those set up here, and I try to make their names pretty obvious. Like, I think this is the Windows 10 Pro. I think this is for Linux. I don't think this actually works anymore, so I just use a local one, which is fine. I think actually Linux is probably the fastest one to get through. But then Windows 2019, Windows 2016, and then where's 2012 R2? Oh, there it is. And then 2012 R2. The thing of that, so like the Linux testing for this is super fast and super easy. The problem with the Windows side of it is they always require Windows updates as soon as I start them up, and those take forever. And the tough part about it too is that the VM I think only stays up for a certain amount. Basically, if there's any sort of inactivity, it starts a timer before it just shuts down on its own. So I don't think the timer is too strict. I think it's maybe like 15 minutes or something like that. But basically, it's not so much like an Informer issue. It's more like just getting these things to work, to update, and then actually like do what I want them to. Because there are like some weird hiccups with them too, where sometimes like they'll actually shut down while they're trying to install Informer, and then I have to redo the whole thing from scratch. And it's a huge pain in the butt. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were aware, at least that that's what Johnston is for here, is that we have like these virtual, like either Linux or Windows environments. The nice thing about them too is that they are used for testing as well. So I think there's only one test in particular that uses it, but this i5 test actually runs an FTP server that we can use to test, like sending a file, or I guess sending like different like export files like CSV or PDF over FTP, and then actually starting the VM and checking to make sure like the actual file that was sent over FTP is there. So actually, I think, let me look at that test real quick, because I think the preconditions on it, I don't know if they give you a login or not. Oh yeah, FTP test requires access to Johnston. Oh yeah, but they do have the URL here, which is good. Let me see if I can add you to it real quick. No, probably not. I think that's a Derek thing. There is a whole process I go through with this too. Usually what I'll do is these VMs, actually, they should have actually nothing installed on them. But what I'll do is you can actually clone them. So before I even like start them up, I'll actually start by making a clone of each of them. And that way I can start up one installing 5.4 directly, and then another one starting up with like by installing 5.3.2 and then installing 5.4 after it. And that's just because it makes it easier having a clean one to start with, to just do the fresh install part of the test. And the clone doesn't even take that long, so that's why these are all basically like clean. But yeah, that's what Johnston is for, just VMs to test with. And it's good to know too, because if you ever need a virtual environment for whatever reason, like if you want to start up try starting up like a Linux VM to test with, then Johnston's a good place to create one. And I think there are actually, I forget what the file type is called, but I guess like file types here, which are kind of like the framework for starting up like either like a Linux instance. Like I think this one's, I guess, Ubuntu 18.04. I think that's actually where a lot of these, or I guess rather templates is the word for these, like 2019. So if something happens to one of these VMs, then we should be able to just easily create a new one from these. And you can tell if it's actually running or not just by this icon, or if you hover over it, apparently. But once you click on it, you just hit start, and that'll immediately like kick in the boot process for the VM. And a lot of these too, I think, just have the credentials anyway. Like I think as soon as I start up, I think they pre-populate already with like an admin name, and then you just have to enter the whatever password is in the notes. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Johnston.